The fluorescent lights of the San Francisco office hummed their familiar tune as Enrique Martinez saved his latest code commit at 11:47 p.m. on a Thursday. Empty energy drink cans formed a small fortress around his triple monitor setup, testament to another 16-hour day at Nexus Technologies. Still here, Henry, Sarah from QA called out, slinging her laptop bag over her shoulder. You know the code will still be there tomorrow, right? Enrique smiled without looking away from his screen. Just optimizing the authentication module. We're launching in 2 weeks. You mean you're launching in 2 weeks? Sarah corrected. Everyone knows you built 90% of this platform. As Sarah's footsteps faded down the hallway, Enrique allowed himself a moment to lean back in his ergonomic chair. 3 years. 3 years of his life poured into every line of code, every algorithm, every feature of what tech blogs were already calling the next big disruption in enterprise software. His phone buzzed. A calendar reminder. Stock options vest in 72 days. No, that wasn't right. He rechecked. The reminder was old. His actual vesting date was Monday, 3 days away. Henrique's chest tightened with anticipation. 400,000 options at a strike price of 50 cents, with the latest valuation putting shares at $12.75. He was looking at nearly $5 million. Not bad for a kid from East San Jose, whose parents still drove the same 1998 Honda Civic. He pulled up his employment agreement on his personal laptop, something he'd been doing more frequently lately. Strange things had been happening. Closed-door meetings he wasn't invited to. Whispered conversations that stopped when he walked by. Last week, he'd seen two men in expensive suits touring the office with CEO Marcus Chen, and when Enrique asked about it, Marcus had simply said, "Just some interested parties." Interested in what? Enrique had pressed. The future. Marcus had replied with that shark-like smile that never quite reached his eyes. Something made Enrique screenshot his vesting schedule and email it to his personal account. Then, on instinct, he opened a new terminal window and began typing. Not company code, he was too ethical for that, but his own ideas, improvements he thought of but never implemented, architectural decisions he would have made differently if he'd been in charge from the start. Just in case, he whispered to himself, not quite sure what he was preparing for. The office AC kicked on, sending a chill through the empty workspace. Outside, San Francisco's fog rolled in, obscuring the city lights. Enrique saved his personal work to his encrypted drive and stood to leave. As he passed Marcus's corner office, he noticed the light was still on, and voices drifted through the cracked door. Can't have a $5 million liability on the books when we acquisition won't go through if Monday morning. First thing. Clean break. Henrique's blood ran cold. He quickened his pace, not wanting to hear more, not wanting to believe what his instincts were screaming. In the elevator, he pulled out his phone and called his roommate, Dev, a lawyer at a tech firm. Dev, hypothetical question. If someone gets fired right before their options vest, they lose them. Dev interrupted. Unless they've already vested. Why, Henry, what's going on? Probably nothing. Enrique lied, his reflection in the elevator doors, looking pale and drawn. Just curious. Bullshit. I've known you since college. You don't ask hypotheticals at midnight. Whatever's happening, document everything. Save all your emails. Take photos of your contributions. Get everything in writing. The elevator opened to the parking garage. Enrique's 2015 Toyota Corolla sat alone under the harsh LED lights. As he drove home through empty streets, his mind raced through 3 years of memories. The excitement of joining a 5-person startup. The pride of watching his code handle millions of users. The promises Marcus had made about changing the world together. Together, Enrique said bitterly to his reflection in the rearview mirror. At home, he didn't sleep. Instead, he worked through the night on his personal project, fingers flying across the keyboard with renewed purpose. By sunrise, he had the skeleton of something new, something better, something entirely his own. His phone alarm went off at 7 a.m. Friday morning, 2 days left. But Enrique already knew he wouldn't make it to Monday. Chapter 2. The execution Monday arrived with unusual San Francisco sunshine, the kind that made the Bay Bridge shimmer like a promise. Enrique arrived at the office at 8:15 a.m., 15 minutes early as always, his laptop bag heavier than usual, with external drives containing his personal work, nothing company related, just his own ideas developed on his own time. The office buzzed with unusual energy. People avoided eye contact. Jessica from HR was already at her desk, which never happened before 9:30, and Marcus's assistant, usually chatty, gave him only a tight nod. "Henry, can you come to my office?" Marcus's voice cut through the morning quiet. "Just a quick chat." Enrique's hands didn't shake as he set down his coffee. 3 years of all-nighters had prepared him for exhaustion. 3 years of impossible deadlines had taught him grace under pressure. But nothing had prepared him for betrayal. Marcus's office smelled of expensive cologne and fresh leather. The CEO sat behind his glass desk, that practiced smile playing on his lips. Jessica from HR sat in the corner with a manila folder, her expression carefully neutral. "Sit, sit." Marcus gestured to the chair across from him, the same chair where Enrique had sat 3 years ago. Young and eager, ready to change the world. "I'll stand," Enrique said quietly. Marcus's smile flickered. "Suit yourself. Look, Henry, I'll cut to the chase. We're making some organizational changes. Your position is being eliminated, effective immediately." The words hung in the air like fog. Enrique had expected them, but they still hit like a physical blow. 3 days before my options vest," Enrique stated. "Not a question. Unfortunate timing." Marcus shrugged. "But these decisions aren't personal. It's just business." "Just business," Enrique repeated. 3 years of building your product, 3 years of my life, and you fire me 72 hours before I see a penny of equity. Jessica shifted uncomfortably. "Mr. Martinez, if you'll sign these separation papers." "I'm not signing anything," Enrique interrupted, his voice steady despite the rage building in his chest. "And I want it on record that I've never copied, stolen, or misappropriated any company property. All the work I've done here stays here. But my knowledge, my skills, my ideas, those come with me." Marcus leaned back, his $1,000 chair creaking. "Come on, Henry, don't be dramatic. You got a non-compete, which my lawyer says is unenforceable in California." Enrique cut him off. "I've done my homework, Marcus, just like I did when I built your entire platform. Just like I did when I scaled it to handle 10 million users. Just like I did every single day for 3 years while you were having lunch with VCs. Security will escort you out," Jessica said quietly, pulling out her phone. "No need." Enrique turned to leave, then paused at the door. "You know what the funny thing is, Marcus? I would have stayed, even without the money. I believed in what we were building, but you just taught me the most valuable lesson of my career." "What's that?" Marcus asked, his smile finally gone. "That loyalty is a luxury employees can't afford, and that the best code ... Enrique met his eyes. Double quotes ... is the code that hasn't been written yet." 20 minutes later, Enrique stood in the parking garage with a cardboard box of personal items, 3 framed photos, a stress ball shaped like a brain, and his favorite coffee mug, the physical remnants of 3 years. But in his mind, he carried something far more valuable. Every lesson learned, every problem solved, every innovation he dreamed up but never implemented. His phone rang. "Sarah from QA. Henry, what the hell? They just announced you're gone." "Yeah, I know. This is bullshit. You're the product. What are they thinking?" Enrique looked up at the Nexus Technologies sign above the garage exit. "They're thinking they got 3 years of my best work for the price of a salary." "But Sarah ... they're wrong." "What do you mean?" "I mean I'm not done building. I'm just getting started." He loaded the box into his Corolla and drove away. San Francisco's skyline reflected in his mirrors. In his apartment, 60 gigabytes of legally developed, personally owned code waited on encrypted drives. Code that represented not what Nexus was, but what it could have been, should have been. That night, while Marcus celebrated the cost savings with the board, Enrique registered a new LLC, Prometheus Technologies. The real work was about to begin. Chapter 3. Rising from the ashes. 6 months. That's all it took. While Marcus and the Nexus board congratulated themselves on their strategic restructuring, Enrique had vanished from the San Francisco tech scene like morning fog. No LinkedIn updates, no Twitter rants, no bitter Medium articles about founder exploitation, just silence. But in a small office in Oakland, far from the glittering towers of Soma, a revolution was brewing. The architecture is completely different, explained David Kim, Enrique's first hire, a brilliant engineer who'd been let go from Nexus 2 weeks after Enrique. We're not just rebuilding, we're reimagining. The team had grown to 12 people, half of them former Nexus employees who'd reached out after seeing the writing on the wall, the other half hungry young developers who believed in Enrique's vision. They worked out of a converted warehouse, the kind of space where rent was cheap and dreams were expensive. Show me the performance metrics again, Enrique said, standing before a whiteboard covered in system diagrams. Sarah, yes, the same Sarah from QA, who jumped ship the moment Enrique called, pulled up the benchmarks. 40% faster response times, 60% less server cost, and the UI, she clicked through the interface. It's like you read users' minds. I didn't read their minds, Enrique said quietly. I listened to their complaints. For 3 years at Nexus, I collected every piece of feedback Marcus ignored, every feature request he called unnecessary complexity. Turns out, when you build what people actually want, they notice. The door burst open. Dev rushed in, his usually perfect lawyer appearance disheveled with excitement. They took the bait. Which bait? Enrique asked, though his slight smile suggested he knew. TechCrunch, the exclusive demo. They want to feature Prometheus as their lead story tomorrow. Ex-Nexus lead engineer launches superior platform is the working headline. The room erupted. 6 months of 70-hour weeks, ramen dinners, and coding marathons had led to this moment. But Enrique remained calm, his mind already 3 moves ahead. Sarah, how many beta users do we have? 8,000. Including ... double quotes. She paused for effect. ... Nexus single quotes S3 biggest enterprise clients. They came to us. David added quickly. We didn't poach. They found us through word of mouth. Turns out, when you fire the guy who knows all their integration pain points, they start looking for alternatives. Enrique's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Heard you're making waves. Coffee. Marcus, he showed it to the team. What do you think he wants? To threaten you, Dev said immediately. I've already got our legal ducks in a row. Every line of code is documented as original work. Every hire was voluntary. Every client approached us. We're bulletproof, or he wants to buy you out, suggested Michael, their CFO, a soft-spoken man who'd left a big firm to join the startup. Killing competition is cheaper than fighting it. Enrique deleted the text without responding. We're not for sale, and we're not competition, we're evolution. The next morning, TechCrunch's article exploded across Silicon Valley. By noon, Enrique's inbox flooded with VC offers, acquisition inquiries, and partnership proposals. But buried among them was one email that made him stop cold. From Board of Directors, Nexus Technologies subject, cease and desist, urgent legal matter, they're claiming trade secret theft, Dev explained an hour later. Surrounded by printed emails and legal documents, it's bullshit, but they're trying to scare us. Are our investors worried? Enrique asked. Michael shook his head. Actually, they're doubling down. Jensen from Founders Fund just called, he said, and I quote, nothing validates a startup like a frivolous lawsuit from a scared competitor. 2 weeks later, they were in court. Enrique sat at the defendant's table, the same cardboard box of personal items at his feet, evidence of his unceremonious departure. Across the aisle, Marcus avoided eye contact, whispering furiously with a team of expensive lawyers. Your Honor, Nexus's lead attorney began. Mr. Martinez had intimate knowledge of our proprietary systems, which he didn't use. Enrique's lawyer interrupted. As our documentation clearly shows, Prometheus Technologies uses entirely different architecture, different code base, different implementation. Mr. Martinez didn't take Nexus's past, he built his own future. The judge, the Honorable Patricia Wong, had seen enough Silicon Valley battles to recognize patterns. She reviewed the evidence with careful attention, occasionally glancing at Enrique with what might have been sympathy. Mr. Chen, she addressed Marcus directly, can you explain why Mr. Martinez was terminated 3 days before his equity vested? Marcus's lawyer objected, but Judge Wang overruled. It speaks to credibility and motive. Counselor, answer the question. It was a business decision. Marcus stammered. I see. And was Mr. Martinez aware of any pending acquisition at the time of his termination? The courtroom fell silent. Marcus's face drained of color. That information hadn't been public. I'll take your silence as confirmation. Judge Wang continued. It appears to me that Nexus Technologies terminated Mr. Martinez to avoid a significant equity payout before a major transaction. Then, when he succeeded independently, you attempted to use the legal system to eliminate competition you created through your own short-sighted decision. She turned to Enrique. Mr. Martinez, do you have anything to add? Enrique stood slowly. Your Honor, I gave Nexus Technologies 3 years of my life. I built their product with my own hands, my own ideas, my own passion. When they took that away, they forgot something crucial. They could fire me, but they couldn't fire my ability to create. Everything I've built since is mine, born from lessons learned and problems solved. I'm not competing with Nexus. I'm showing the world what Nexus could have been if it valued builders over balance sheets. Judge Wang's ruling was swift and decisive. I find no evidence of trade secret misappropriation. Furthermore, I'm concerned by Nexus Technologies' apparent pattern of terminating employees to avoid equity obligations. Case dismissed with prejudice. Nexus Technologies will pay all legal fees, but the real victory came 3 days later. Marcus is out, Sarah announced, reading from her phone. The board fired him after the acquisition fell through. Apparently, the buyers got spooked by the lawsuit and our performance metrics. And get this, David added, Nexus's valuation and us got cut in half. They're hemorrhaging customers. Enrique felt no joy in Marcus's downfall, only a quiet vindication. He gathered his team in their warehouse office, the afternoon sun streaming through windows that needed cleaning. Listen up, everyone. What happened to Nexus? That's not our goal. Our goal is to build something that matters, something that lasts. We're not here to destroy. We're here to create, but we are here to win, Sarah added with a grin. Yeah, Enrique smiled back. We're here to win. Chapter 4. The Phoenix soars 1 year after the courthouse steps. Enrique stood in a different building entirely, the New York Stock Exchange. The opening bell was minutes away, and Prometheus Technologies was about to go public. Nervous? Sarah asked, adjusting her blazer. As Chief Product Officer, she'd been instrumental in growing their user base to 50 million active accounts. Terrified, Enrique admitted, straightening his tie, the first one he'd worn since his Nexus interview 4 years ago. But the good kind. The team had grown to 300 employees across 4 offices. The warehouse in Oakland had been transformed into a monument to their origin story, complete with the original whiteboards still covered in Enrique's system diagrams. New hires took pilgrimages there, touching the boards like sacred relics. Enrique Martinez, from janitor's son to billionaire, ACNBC reporter thrust a microphone at him. What's your secret? Enrique thought of his parents, who'd flown in from San Jose and sat in the VIP section, his mother clutching his father's hand with tears in her eyes. No secret. Just remember that every line of code has a human behind it. Respect the builders, and they'll build you miracles. Any words for your former employer? Enrique's smile didn't waver. I wish them well. Competition makes everyone better. It was mostly true. Nexus had survived, barely, after bringing in new leadership and pivoting to a different market segment. They were a cautionary tale now, a Harvard Business School case study in how not to handle talent retention. The bell rang. Prometheus opened at $45 per share, triple its initial offering price. By noon, it had climbed to $67. The 12 original employees who'd believed in Enrique's vision were now multimillionaires. Sarah bought her parents a house. David started a scholarship fund. Even Dev, despite his lawyer's salary, had taken equity instead of higher fees and was now set for life. But the sweetest moment came during the closing bell ceremony. Among the crowd of investors and media, Enrique spotted a familiar face, Marcus Chen, looking older, grayer, diminished. Their eyes met across the trading floor. For a moment, Enrique considered ignoring him, then he walked over, extending his hand. "Marcus, congratulations," Marcus said, his voice hoarse. You built something amazing." "We built something amazing," Enrique corrected. "Different teams, different times, but we both tried to create value. I learned a lot at Nexus." "I learned something too," Marcus said quietly. "I learned that you can't put a price on loyalty, or talent, or integrity." He paused. "I'm sorry, Henry. For what it's worth, firing you was the stupidest decision of my career." Enrique nodded. "We all make mistakes. The question is what we do after." "What I did after was watch you build the company I thought I was building." Marcus laughed bitterly. "You want to hear something ironic? I own shares in Prometheus. Bought them in the IPO. Best investment I ever made." Later, that evening, the Prometheus team gathered on the rooftop of their Manhattan hotel. The city sparkled below them, full of dreams and ambitions and late-night coding sessions. Enrique raised his champagne glass, thinking of all the nights he'd stared at screens until his eyes burned, all the rejections before the acceptances, all the doubt before the triumph. "To everyone who's ever been undervalued," he began, his voice carrying across the rooftop. "To every developer told their ideas were too complex. To every engineer told they were too picky. To every designer told their vision was too ambitious. To everyone who's ever been fired, laid off, pushed out, or pushed aside," the team raised their glasses, some with tears in their eyes. "You can take our jobs," Enrique continued. "You can take our offices. You can even take our equity, but you can never take our ability to create. You can never take our knowledge. You can never take our determination to build something better." "To building better," the team chorused. As the party continued around him, Enrique stepped to the edge of the rooftop, looking out at the city. His phone buzzed with congratulations from around the world. But one message stood out. "Mio, your father and I are so proud. Not because of the money, but because you never gave up, because you turned pain into purpose. Love, Mom." He thought about the kid from East San Jose who'd learned to code on a borrowed laptop, the college student who'd worked 3 jobs to avoid loans, the young engineer who'd believed promises about changing the world. Each version of himself had led to this moment. Dev appeared beside him. "So, what's next?" "Retirement. Island somewhere," Enrique laughed. "Are you kidding? We're just getting started. There are a million problems to solve, a million systems to build better." He turned to his friend. "Besides, I've got a theory to prove." "What theory?" "That the best revenge ain't living well, it's building well. Creating jobs, solving problems, adding value, showing every founder who's ever screwed over their team that there's a better way, the Enrique Martinez way." "The human way," Enrique corrected. "Where talent is valued, contributions are rewarded, and no one gets fired 3 days before their options vest." As midnight approached, Enrique made his way through the party, thanking each team member personally. These weren't just employees, they were believers, builders, the architects of something bigger than any individual. His phone rang. An unknown number with a San Francisco area code. He almost didn't answer. Then curiosity won. "Mr. Martinez, this is Jennifer from Nexus Technologies, well, formerly Nexus. I'm starting a new company, and I was wondering, would you be interested in being an advisor?" "I promise." She laughed nervously. "I've learned from our mistakes." Enrique smiled. "Send me the pitch deck. If you're building something that helps people and respects the builders, I'm listening," because that was the truth Marcus never understood, the truth that no lawsuit could suppress, no termination could erase. Talent can be fired, but it can't be destroyed. It flows like water, finding new channels, carving new paths, always seeking its level. And sometimes, just sometimes, it rises high enough to lift everyone with it. As the New York night embraced them, Enrique Martinez, son of immigrants, builder of dreams, proof that code could be poetry and business could be personal, allowed himself one moment of pure satisfaction. Then he opened his laptop. There was still work to do.